Imagine for a moment a voice in your head that doesn't stop criticizing you. It holds you back, second-guesses every decision, brings up every failure, and constantly creates fear where there should be hope. That voice isn't someone else, though. It's your own mind running wild and unchecked. As the philosopher and writer Lao Tzu once said, "Mastering others is strength. Mastering yourself is true power." Your mind, when uncontrolled, can be your greatest enemy, sabotaging your goals, relationships, and dreams. But here's the good news. With the right awareness, your mind can also be your greatest ally. Let's break it down. When we say uncontrolled mind, what are we really talking about? We're talking about those endless thoughts that spiral without direction, those fears that blow situations out of proportion, and that doubt that says you're just not good enough. An uncontrolled mind is a restless mind, easily swayed by emotions, fleeting desires, and doubts. And if you let it run loose, it will find ways to limit you every single time. The truth is, controlling your mind doesn't mean silencing it. It's about directing it. Muhammad Ali, the legendary boxer, once said, "If my mind can conceive it, and my heart can believe it, then I can achieve it." Ali wasn't just talking about wishful thinking. He was talking about training the mind to be resilient, focused, and unstoppable. So how do we tame this restless, uncontrolled mind? How do we start making it work for us, rather than against us? The first step is awareness. Pay attention to your thoughts. Start to notice the way they run on autopilot, especially when you're anxious or stressed. Becoming aware of your mind's patterns is like flipping a switch. Suddenly, you can observe the mind without getting caught up in it. Imagine yourself as an observer, watching your thoughts come and go like waves. This act alone, this simple awareness, begins to break the chains of uncontrolled thinking. You start to see that not every thought deserves your attention. The next step is focus. You can't stop the waves, but you can learn to surf, said Jon Kabat-Zinn, a pioneer in mindfulness. Focus is about learning to choose where you direct your mind's energy. When you let your mind obsess over things you can't control, it wastes your time and energy. But when you focus on what you can control, your actions, your choices, your response to challenges, you regain that lost power. Remember, big changes start with small actions. Train your mind to focus on these actions instead of obsessing over outcomes. The mind is like a muscle. The more you train it to focus, the stronger and more controlled it becomes. An uncontrolled mind loves to magnify negatives. It turns small challenges into huge obstacles. But here's a truth from Tony Robbins. Every problem is a gift. Without problems, we would not grow. Reframing your thoughts isn't about ignoring challenges. It's about seeing them as opportunities to learn and become stronger. So next time you hear your mind telling you, "You're not good enough," or "This is impossible," stop and reframe it. Ask yourself, what's one thing I can learn from this? Or what's one step I can take forward? This simple shift in perspective begins to transform your mind from an enemy to a tool for growth. Finally, the most powerful step, take ownership of your mind. You don't have to believe every thought it throws at you. Thoughts are just that, thoughts. You are the one who gives them power by choosing which ones to believe and act on. As Dr. Wayne Dyer once said, "You cannot always control what goes on outside, but you can always control what goes on inside." Taking ownership means you choose to no longer be a victim of your uncontrolled mind. You choose to train it, guide it, and build a mindset that empowers you instead of limiting you. Imagine a life where your mind is your ally, where you wake up each day with clarity, purpose, and strength. A controlled mind leads to controlled emotions, controlled decisions, and ultimately, controlled success. The more you master your mind, the more you master your life. And remember, this is not an overnight journey. Training your mind is like training for a marathon. It requires patience, consistency, and the willingness to grow. But the rewards, they're life-changing. When you master your mind, you take charge of your destiny. So ask yourself today, are you willing to take that first step, to pay attention to your thoughts, to choose focus over distraction, to see opportunity instead of setback, and to take full ownership of the mind that shapes your life? Because the truth is, the only thing standing between you and the life you want is not anyone else. It's the thoughts you choose to believe. You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength. Those words come from Marcus Aurelius, a Roman emperor and philosopher who understood that the mind is a battleground. But it's a battleground you can win.